Anime, video games, an intertwined art form, I must say so myself. When people think of anime based on dem darn video games, most people think of Persona 4 the animation, the Fates franchise, or Steins Gate, which are all great in their own right, but who cares about that? Oh, what about sports anime, huh? Well, some people love Kuroko no Basket, or Haikyuu, or Free, which isn't much of a sports anime and is more of a cute boy show. But hey, what do these two things have in common? They're both the genres for the most underappreciated anime of all time. Made by Level 5, the creators of Professor Layton, Yokai Watch, and frickin' Ni no Kuni, Inazuma 11 the GOAT. The original anime was made in 2008 during a time where if Americans didn't care, to be honest, no one did. It was also based on a DS game that only came out in Europe, so I gotta be fair here and say it was doomed from the start. And even nowadays with the new season, it was just put on Disney XD, then got cancelled halfway through, which makes sense, because you can't release a sequel to a show that never aired over here. You fucking idiots. Well, thank God I was born in Europe, so I got to experience Inazuma 11 firsthand. And Jesus Christ, you guys are totally missing out. But what is Inazuma 11 really? And why should you watch it? Well, let me catch y'all up to speed with a quick, mostly spoiler-free summary of the 3 major arcs of the franchise. Let's go. Arc 1, the Football Frontier Arc. This is where we're introduced to our main character Endo Mamoru and his soccer team, the Raymon 11, as they battle in the Football Frontier Tournament. They start their journey as some hella weak kids who can't even make a goal, but then we follow them through this long and hard-paused journey. Here we're introduced to the main concepts and ideas of the show, but most importantly, the power system. Yeah, this show has a power system. This ain't your normal sports anime, and the power system here is Hisatsu. It's chakra or nen-like energy that the players can use on the field to do some super cool attacks, and let me tell you, this is BADASS. That spells badass. We also meet our most important key players in the show, the aforementioned Endo along with Gonjin, Kazimaru, and my boy Kiro the Goat Yuto. Woo! The arc isn't just football matches though, it's also intertwined with a plot about the commander, Kageyama Reiji, and how he connects to all the tragic events that our heroes have gone through, including this kid's dead grandfather. Yikes. Anyway, by the end, our heroes prevail against evil and win the tournament. Next is the Ailey Academy arc. Now you must be asking, what the f is an Ailey Academy? Well, you're gonna have to stick with me here. After Raymon wins the tournament, they head back to their school and shit is destroyed. The culprits? Aliens. Just stick me on this. These aliens said they came over to take over the Earth and stuff and will fight the planet with their most popular activity, football, which is a real fact. Look it up. Our heroes get their asses handed to them, but Endo doesn't back down. So with the help of a new coach, they decide to travel across the entirety of Japan to gather the strongest players around and keep fighting them darn aliens. These new characters include the president's daughter, a prankster, a surfer, Black China, and the coolest boy on the team. Literally. But we'll talk about that later. Towards the end of their journey, big old spoilers here, skip to this time if you don't want to see it. We learn that the aliens aren't aliens. Yeah, actually it was a plan by an eccentric millionaire to dethrone the government. Trust me, it makes sense in context. Anyways, our heroes try their hardest, and with trial and error, prevail against evil. Last, but certainly not least, is the FFI arc. FFI stands for Football Frontier International. Yep, a world tournament. A few months after the defeat of Ailey Academy, Endo gets called up to the school and sees his allies, and even some old foes, have all been called up to represent Japan in a world tournament. Throughout the longest arc in the series, we see our heroes fight different teams from different countries and grow as a team and as friends. This is where we see the conclusion of a bunch of character arcs that were set up all the way back in season 1. But the main villain of the series is a crazy surprise. Major spoilers. This is like the biggest reveal in the series and changes how you view the entire series from now on. Skip here if you don't want to see it. Endo's grandfather, who we thought was dead, was in fact hiding in Africa to train a team and gain research to prove that a billionaire was trying to start a world war using soccer. I love this show, dude! Anyway, the good guys prevail against evil and Japan wins the world tournament. The end. Now that was pretty cool and maybe a little too fast, so if you really want to get into what I was talking about, go watch the show for yourself. But if you're still not convinced, don't worry, I got you. People often ask me, why do you even watch the show? Soccer can't be that cool. Now while these matches are pretty intense without context, with context they get way better. Because of the characters. First, let's discuss our main guy, Endo Mamoru. Endo is your typical shonen boy with typical shonen values. He just wants to be a great soccer player like his granddad and be a good captain. He believes that if you have a good heart, work hard, and believe, you can do anything. He's a nice kid and his catchphrase is low-key blood pumping. Sakai! I'm sorry. I'm probably gonna get rid of that. Now, while he's a very typical shonen hero, his character gets a little deep when you see him at his low points, like in season 2. Spoilers. Kazemaru dips because he thinks he's not strong enough to beat the aliens, and Endo tried his damn hardest to get him to stay, but he still leaves. And at this point, a bunch of characters from season 1 have already been injured, and a few have already left. So, this is where we see Endo in a depression-like state, where he's just on the roof, not moving. And it's sad to see someone like this at his all-time low, because he just wants to be a great captain, and one of the goals of a captain is to keep the team together. He thinks he failed. Now, what gets him to play again isn't his friends telling him, or even his love interest saying something, it's hearing Techimukai. Tachi is a character who at this point is a parallel to Endo. Literally, he's this guy who learned how to do Endo's signature move God Hand by just watching it, and God Hand is a move that takes loads of time and effort to learn. He's someone who's on a weak team that can't even compete in tournaments because they're so unknown. He's also hella scared to talk to people, but Endo seeing this kid, trying again and again just to learn a new move, inspires Endo, and reminds him of his morals that he once forgot, to never give up. That's called good writing, baby! Now, Endo's not the only good character. Goenjin's arc during the first season is pretty tear-jerking, and Kito's 3-season arc is one of my favorites, but a big problem with the first season is that a lot of the main casts aren't very memorable. Of course, I remember Endo, Goenjin, Kito, Kazemaru, Domo, Ichinos, Kabayama, but the rest of the team is sorta just boring. Like, who the f is this guy? But by the second half of season 2, every single character in the cast has an interesting design, personality, and power set. One of, if not my all-time favorite, is Fubuki Shiro. When we're introduced to him, the coach calls him someone who's both a good striker and a great defender, something that in the show, and a little bit in real life, is sort of unheard of. And when we meet him, he's just a happy, quiet boy. He's polite and calm and even gets scared by simple avalanches. But eventually, we slowly get a glimpse of the other side of his character. During a practice match, when Fubuki shows off his skills to the team, he starts off only defending, and he's pretty good at it. But suddenly, the tone changes, and it seems like Fubuki changes. This is Fubuki's second personality. As a kid, I thought it was just some uncontrollable transformation like Dark Sonic from Sonic X, and some people might see it that way, but when you think about it, it really is a second personality. We learn through flashbacks and subtle dialogue that Fubuki used to have a brother, Atsuya. He was a great attacker, and the Fubuki we know used to only defend. They were considered a legendary duo, called perfect when in harmony. But one day when Fubuki's family were driving home from a game, an avalanche crashed. And that was what killed not only Atsuya, but Fubuki's whole family. This caused him to disassociate, which is to create a second personality, or an alter, and he developed an alter that was essentially his brother. The alter would be triggered by the feeling of Atsuya's old scarf, one of the only memories of his brother. And during the show, we barely see Fubuki open up to others about this. Hell, we only learn about this ourselves through police documents. But Fubuki struggles with this during the whole season, not being able to control his rage when he's Atsuya, and having trouble dealing with the fact that he makes mistakes, and not living up to his brother's dreams. His problem isn't solved by some magic or just the power of friendship. It's his own realization that he needs to work in harmony with his brother and the rest of his team to be who he wants to be. But enough of that sad let's talk about action. When you ask someone why they like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, yeah, of course they'll mention the plot and the characters, but what's really the coolest part is the action. And Inazuma 11 has some of, if not the best action in a sports anime, period. The comments are gonna eat my cheeks for that, but I don't care. Let me talk about why with an example. So for some context, Inazuma 11 is the best anime you've never watched, but it's okay because you can watch it at any time. Sadly, I don't think there's an official sub-release of the whole series, so the best you can do is pirate it, but I don't encourage it. Wink, wink. And the cool thing is, you got a lot to watch. There's the original series with the first 3 arcs, then the sequel series Go, and then you can skip Chrono Stone and Galaxy because they're kinda ass. But then they brought it back with Ares and Orion, but only watch the sub versions. The dubs did it so dirty, bruh. So what are you waiting for? If the show interests you, go ahead and watch it. And when you're done, you can tweet me about it over on my Twitter. Or comment down below your thoughts on the show and my video. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this. Anyway, my name is Chillixion, and I hope all of you had a damn good one. Peace.